You don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Dead up perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 7th part of What If Naruto Meets Americandad? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of DRAGONfromheaven on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto shook off the chills as he went back to enjoying his time with his girls at school, as they were the only real enjoyable part of it. So Naruto, I was thinking. A friend of mine, Jenny Bowen, was wondering if she could maybe cruise around in your car with us since she loves it, Lisa said with a smile as she leaned against him. Is that all she wants to do? He asked with a knowing smirk as he could see a glint in Lisa's eyes and knew instantly what it was. Okay, maybe she wants to make out with you while I watch. Though she might be joking or she might be serious. It's strong to tell with her, Lisa said as the other girls at the table laughed. I think she is serious, Lisa, Janet said as she leaned forward with a smirk. I heard Jenny bragging to her friends how she might get some alone time with him, since it is common knowledge in the higher circles that you and Naruto's relationship is open to a point. Well, that only makes things easier for us, doesn't it? Becky said as Naruto looked at her. If people know the relationship is open and are still okay with it, then it makes getting people to join that much simpler, as we don't have to explain things as much until they decide they want to continue and join the group, she said as he nodded. We'll see how it goes. For now just accept Jenny's request and we'll go from there, he said as he stroked Janet and Becky's legs with his legs, making them smile at him. Well, you can accept it personally because here she comes, Lindsay said giggling as she pointed across the lunchroom to show Jenny walking over with a visible sway to her peach. My, doesn't she seem happy, Becky said as they all giggled a bit as Jenny arrived at the table, placing her hands on the table and leaning over a bit, giving Naruto a clear view of the cleavage of her DD cup melons as well as the purple BR underneath. Hey there Naruto, has Lisa asked you what I told her to pass along? Jenny asked with a smile as Naruto chuckled and nodded. Yes, she has, and I am more than happy to drive you around a bit. A friend of Lisa's is a friend of mine, he said with a smile as Jenny smiled happily before she jumped up and down a bit in joy as she clapped her hands, letting Naruto see her melons bounce in front of him. Sweet. I can't wait to ride that hot rod of yours, she said as she leaned closer to him, tracing her hand up his leg, and I'm pretty excited to get a ride in the orange Lamborghini of yours as well, she whispered to him as she winked at him. How about tomorrow after school? Does that sound good to you? He asked as he grabbed her hand just before it got to his crotch, making her pout and look at him before it turned to a smirk. Sounds perfect, see you then, she said as she turned around and walked off with a sway of her peach as she left the lunchroom. Well, isn't she bold? Janet said with a smirk as Naruto nodded with a grin as he continued to watch Jenny leave. Yes, she is, and what can I say, I like boldness, he said as the girls giggled. Oh, trust me, we know enough from all the public flirting that gets you riled up. Keep it in your pants at least until we get home, Lisa teased as she rubbed his thigh with a smile as he smirked and kissed her cheek. They continued to enjoy their lunch and talk, with some under the table rubbing, until the bell rang signaling the end of the lunch hour. Ah, and I was having so much fun, Becky whined as the other girls nodded. No need to whine, there is always after school, he said as the girls smiled happily. I'll drop by later, I just have to make up an excuse that I am studying, Lisa. Your parents will cover for me, right? Becky asked as Lisa nodded with a smirk. To my parents, I basically live with Naruto, so they will cover for me, Lisa said as Naruto was grateful for that fact. Come over whenever you feel like it, girls, and if you need a ride just meet me by my car, Naruto said as he quickly gave each of his girls a quick but loving embrace before they had to rush off to class, leaving him with Lisa. Well, shall we go? She asked as Naruto chuckled and offered his arm to her. Of course, milady, he said as he kissed her cheek before walking off towards class. After school. Naruto sighed as he rubbed his temples from the annoying class he had at the end of the day before he smiled at the warm sensations on his back. He turned and smiled as he saw Janet pressing herself up against him. Ready to go home, Mstr? She asked as she teased him with the title that he had made her call him during their first time in bed. You aren't going to let that go, are you? He asked as she shook her head with a smirk before kissing him deeply. Never. I loved how you dominated me that time, so there is no way I will ever stop, Mstr, she cooed as she got off of his back and walked towards his car as he saw Lisa and Lindsay already waiting for him. I called my dad saying I was staying at Lisa's house. Is that okay? Lindsay asked as Naruto smiled and kissed her softly. Lindsay, my house is open to all my girls. I did give you a key after all, he said with a suggestive wiggle to his eyebrow, making her blush and nod. I am just new to this group thing, she said as Naruto stroked her cheek with a smile. Then go at your own pace, dear, don't feel you need to rush yourself for me at all, he said as Lisa smiled and hugged Lindsay from behind. Naruto cares about us all and won't rush us. Now let's get home since I want to relax tonight after all this stupid school work, Lisa said as she groaned and rested her head on Lindsay's shoulder. Trust us, you'll be happy like no other. Naruto said with a wide smile, making her smile back before they piled in the car with Lisa taking up the front seat as she always did with the others taking the back seat. So where are you going to take Jenny when she rides around with us tomorrow? Lisa asked as Naruto smirked and poked her nose lightly before starting the car. That is a secret since you are coming along as well and I don't want to ruin it, he said as she pouted while they pulled out of the parking lot and started to head home. Truth was he had no idea where to take her, but knowing his luck he'd find somewhere to go as he drove around the next day. Oh, how right he would be. Come on, let's go inside and relax. I'll start up dinner soon, he said as he gave each of their rears a soft slap that made them squeak and smile before hurrying inside. Hey Tiffany, how was your day? He asked as he saw Tiffany walking around the kitchen in what looked like to be nothing but an apron. Well, besides being at home alone, horny as F, and naked all day, not much, she purred out as Naruto bit his lip and wrapped his arms around her waist from behind before she scooted back, pressing her massive rear up against his crotch. So tell me, sweetie, you planning on helping me with my problem here? She asked as pulled her apron down a bit to reveal more of her bust. Oh, I know a way, he whispered out as he picked her up and placed her on the counter with a smile. There he goes having fun with Tiffany, Lisa said with a giggle and a playful eye roll as she could hear Tiffany's moans and Naruto's playful growls. Is this normal? Lindsay asked as Janet nodded. Oh, you should hear the house when all of us are together. I swear if the house wasn't soundproofed I would think one of the neighbors would have called the police on us for a possible murder, Janet said as Lindsay's cheeks heated up. For Lindsay it wasn't to say she was a prude or anything, but she was new to a physical relationship, especially one where her lover was also in a physical relationship with several other girls. She was entirely okay with it, but it was a new experience for her. Especially the way Lisa described him, showing that he equally loved all them, showing every chance he had that he loved them and constantly showered them with love. Don't worry, you learn to drown it out. Though it doesn't stop us from getting horny from it. If you want you can join him and have some fun, Lisa teased as Lindsay bit her lip from the thought of taking part of it. Maybe later, Lindsay said as Janet and Lisa smiled before they got back to their homework. As the hours went by they all were relaxing on the couch as Naruto had finished showing Tiffany some loving, giving her a slight limp with Lindsay being too embarrassed to join them in the kitchen. Naruto smiled as Becky entered the house before she smirked at him. The house reeks of SEC, who got to have fun so quickly? Becky asked as Tiffany rose her hand. Couldn't help it, she was wearing only an apron. Now come on, "You're just in time for dinner," he said with a smirk as Becky rolled her eyes and followed as she waved her hand at the smell of section. "At least open a window," she teased as Janet chuckled. "I don't know. I kind of like the smell," Janet said as took a deep smell before shivering with a smile and small reminds me of the fun times with MSTR. Haha, we weren't complaining when we could smell your SEC from even outside like on the cruise. Lisa teased back, making Becky blush in embarrassment. That was my first time with him, so that can be excused," Becky said as the other girls rolled their eyes with a giggle as Becky's cheeks lit up in embarrassment. And Lindsay was there too, so she was responsible as well. "Nothing is wrong with the smell of SEC. Now let's change the subject and enjoy dinner together," Naruto deadpanned as he was just trying to enjoy a meal and his loves were talking about the smell of section. Oh. Can we change the subject to our day tomorrow with Jenny?" Lisa asked as Naruto chuckled. "Oh, is there another girl that is going to join soon?" Tiffany asked as Naruto shrugged his shoulders. "Well, most likely Jenny will try something, but whether or not she joins is up to her, as it was with every one of you," he said as he started dishing up plates for his girls. "Well, it always feels nice when we gather all together for meals like this. All we are missing is Lena, Francine and Hailey," Lisa said with a frown as he nodded. He hadn't heard from Hailey at all today, though if he remembered correctly she was busy working on a paper for a class that she didn't share with Tiffany. Of course Tiffany and he had offered to help, but Hailey felt better doing it herself, which he respected. Naruto smiled as all of his girls started to talk amongst themselves as he was happy for the family he had basically built and an even bigger one he hoped to have in the future with little mini him running around in his vision, but realized he was going to need to get a bigger place since sooner or later it'll get too cramped with all of the rooms getting filled up. He would easily figure it out once he needed to. For now he just needed to focus on the now and eventually building the family, since tomorrow he might even gain a new member. Next day, after school. Naruto smiled as the final bell had rung, signaling the end of school, the thing he had been looking forward to, as he was looking forward to the ride along with Jenny, since according to Lisa, the flirtatious redhead was really looking forward to it. He also heard she was bringing some of her friends along in another car to maybe hang out after they had stopped cruising. As soon as the bell rang he rushed to his car, only, to his surprise, Lisa and Jenny were already there, with Lisa standing next to the car and Jenny sitting on the hood, giving him a clear view up her skirt to reveal a pair of lacy, purple panties. "How did you two beat me here?" he asked as they smirked at him. "Our last class was close by, so we got over like the second the bell rang," Jenny said with a smile as she got off the hood of his car, making her assets jiggle erotically. Making Naruto's thoughts wander for a second. Jenny, noticing his line of sight, smiled proudly before she walked over to him. "See something you like, stud?" she asked as he smirked at her and leaned towards her, mere inches from her. "Maybe I do, you'll just have to wait and see," he whispered as she felt her cheeks heat up a bit as he walked towards the car and opened the door for her and Lisa, making her smile at him being a gentleman. "Oh, I'm going to sit in the back. Jenny can take the front seat since it is her first time in the car," Lisa said as she flashed Jenny a smile and a thumbs up as Jenny nodded, understanding the signal as they both got into the car. "So where are you planning to take us, two appealing girls, today on this ride around town?" Jenny asked with a smile as she crossed her legs, hitching up her skirt a bit to show off her long legs more. Naruto smirked as he brushed up against her thigh as he shifted the car into drive. "Well, you'll just have to wait and see, it's a little surprise," Naruto said, already thinking up what to do, though not knowing the plan was going to change whether he liked it or not, and he would most likely like it. While he drove out of the school parking lot he noticed a car following him with some familiar faces. "Jenny? Are your friends following us?" he asked as Jenny nodded. "Well, they wanted to hang out a bit as well wherever we end up." "I hope that's okay," Jenny said with a smile as her friends had wanted to tag along, though she made them promise not to interrupt anything that happened in his car since Jenny didn't want anything to ruin it. "That's fine, the more the merrier, I always say," Naruto said with a chuckle as he continued to drive through town. He contemplated taking them back to his house to watch a movie in his backyard, but threw that idea out as Jenny wanted to stay in his car. He just wished there was some kind of drive-through movies. Jenny yelled, breaking him out of his thoughts as he looked over to see a movie playing out of the window of Francine's house. What is going on? He thought with a frown as he got a bad feeling from the 15 cars in Francine's front lawn. He had a bad feeling that this was Stan's fault, as it normally always was. His gut told him that much, and his gut never lied to him. If in any indication, he's going to get one hell of a migraine soon. Hey Foxy, I didn't know Francine played movies outside her house. Lisa whispered to Naruto, while Jenny was giddily bouncing up and down on the seat, giving Naruto the view of her melons bouncing. Neither did I. Naruto admitted as Jenny grabbed his arm with a smile. Oh, this is what you had planned, wasn't it? I love drive-through movies, Jenny said as he smiled and pulled onto Francine's lawn, giving Jenny and Lisa a good view of the movie. Naruto was about to finish, but Lisa tapped his arm, shaking her head in amusement. He just signed before answering Jenny. Yes, actually this is what I had planned for you and Lisa, I hope you like the surprise. Naruto said happily, well, there went his original plan, but maybe he could get something out of this. Not only spending time with the two girls in his car, but find out what recently happened with the cars and the film. Let me just go talk to the person running the projector to request a movie, he said as Jenny smiled. Oh. Get them to play a scary movie, Jenny said as he nodded and got out of the car before heading towards Francine's house. Oh, I'll make sure he'll put the scariest one on. Naruto said, grinning before walking through the front lawn. Before walking up to the door, grabbing his spare key Francine gave him before unlocking the door and walking in, he saw the house was deathly silent and he heard no one but some muffles where the attic was. Francine? You here? He asked as he went up into the attic to see Roger and Klaus there with a toppled-over movie projector that was playing the movie. Yeah, it's me, Francine. No, it's Roger, you dummy. Roger said nonchalantly as he took a sip of his drink, probably something from his beer collection or something raided from the kitchen. Hey, how are things, you two? Didn't know you had a projector up here. Naruto asked as they nodded. Oh, we're fine, just bored on our asses and needed something to do. Roger found some old film reels here with this projector and thought it would be good to play some of the movies. He did trip a little when setting it up, and instead of having the screen in here it went outside. Klaus said as Roger nodded. It looks better that way honestly and sets the mood right. So just wondering, but are those two girls in your car yours? Roger asked as he peeked his head out of the attic window to get a better view of the two girls. Yeah, Lisa and Jenny. Oh, do you think you can play a scary movie after this? You know how girls get with scary movies at a drive-through, he said as Roger chuckled and gave him a thumbs up. I know what you mean. Not my first time using that little situation. So don't worry, I got it. Roger said as Naruto smiled and started to head down before he stopped and turned back. Oh, one thing before I leave, what is up with all the cars in the front lawn, and should I be worried for Francine and Hailey? He asked as Roger frowned. Long story short, Stan's being an idiot and yeah a bit, Roger said with a frown as Naruto groaned and ran his hand through his hair with a frown. Tell Francine to call me when she gets home and I can take care of it, and Roger, Klaus, if either of you get the chance, report to me any more of Stan's idiotic behaviors. Naruto said as Roger and Klaus nodded before they turned back to watching The Breakfast Club as Naruto headed back to the car and frowned as he saw Steve leaning on his car with a pervy smile. So Jenny, so nice of Naruto to deliver you to me, Steve said as he could see Jenny visibly cringe before Naruto put his hand on Steve's shoulder with a glare. What have I said about bothering Lisa and her friends such as Jenny? He whispered to Steve, who paled at the dark tone of his voice before Steve scurried away with a wet spot on his jeans, before jumping into one of the vacant nearby cars. I didn't do anything. It was a joke. I'm serious. Steve stuttered out as Naruto sent him another glare as he saw Steve's friends watching in shock as they sat in various other cars. Whatever, just remember not to bother them, he said as Jenny's friends pulled up in their car. Whoa. A drive-through movies? I haven't seen one of these in forever, one of Jenny's friends said as Naruto smiled at them. As Naruto looked at each of them, he somewhat thought that Jenny's friends looked somewhat similar to Steve's friends if they had a sex change or were their opposite gender doppelgangers. Yup, a friend of mine is running the projection screen up there. Pick a car and a lucky guy, he said as he pointed to the cars. There is Snot in the red convertible, Barry in the yellow car and Toshi in the black one. Have fun, he said as he sent the three boys a smile and a thumbs up as they looked at him in near worship. You're welcome boys, Naruto said with a laugh before turning to Toshi and repeating it in Japanese, which made the only speaking Japanese boy smile and bow to him. Surprisingly, each of the girls that looked similar to Steve's friends went into the same cars as them. Steve's friends won't be nasty, will they? Jenny asked as he got into the car. Nope, unlike Steve they're actually pretty nice guys, a bit weird at times I must admit, but hey, who isn't? How they ever stayed with Steve this long I will never know. Naruto said with a shrug as he considered the three of them many steps above Steve with them anchoring them down. So did you get the movie to play? Jenny asked as Naruto smiled and nodded. He should be changing it over soon so no worries, he said as almost immediately after the ending scene of The Breakfast Club, the movie cut out before another started up. As the title screen started up Jenny and Lisa smiled as The Shining showed up on the side of the house it was playing on. Oh. This is a good classic. Jenny said as she inched closer to Naruto as he looked back at Lisa who smiled and mouthed, good luck, to him as she relaxed in her seat. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at Lisa's constant approval of him playing around with her friends as he wrapped his arm around Jenny's waist and pulled her in closer, making the redhead smile and lean against him. Of course, never neglecting his first love, he slid his free hand towards the back seat for Lisa to hold, which made her smile happily. Although the way he had to move it was a tad awkward in the position, but it worked out well in the end, making her secretly smile that he still tried to give her attention also. Oh, getting pretty handsy there, Jenny whispered to him as she smiled at him, grabbing his hand around her waist and slowly moved it lower, directing it towards her exposed panties. What would Lisa say if she saw this? I have a feeling she is more than okay with it, he whispered back as he rubbed her over her panties with a smirk as he heard a soft escape her lips while she pressed up against his hand more. Jenny struggled to hold in her moans as Naruto slid his hand under her panties and rubbed her womanhood and her bud directly, making her even more wet. She bit her lip harder as she felt him squeeze her bud in between two fingers before she looked back at Lisa, who to her surprise, was basically riding Naruto's other hand as he fingered her with his palm facing up. See, she's more than okay with it, he said as Jenny loved over to him before she leaned forward and kissed him deeply before he quickly returned the embrace. Jenny moaned loudly into the embrace as she felt two fingers slide into her PP and found it too difficult not to as he curled his fingers and directly pressed against her G-spot, which made her break the hot embrace to loudly as she found all her strength sapped from her, causing her to lean against his chest. This is what you wanted, wasn't it? He asked with a smirk as Jenny moaned softly and nodded her head weakly as he continued to finger her now dripping wet PP. So badly. I begged Lisa to let me after the first time she told some of us how good you were in bed, Jenny said with a smile as she grinded up against his fingers more while she brought one of her hands to fondle her own BRST under her shirt. From the back, Lisa was enjoying the sight in front of her and wanted to have more of the action. She smiled as she slowly leaned forward and brought her head next to Jenny's. I told you so, girl. He has a great magical touch, doesn't he? Lisa said as Jenny nodded her head as she slowly panted strong. Yes, he sure does have some great fingers. The redhead said as with her face flushed before she felt hands on the sides of her head before it was turned to have her lips being assaulted by Lisa's. Jenny quickly got over her shock. She complied into the embrace and felt more aroused than ever before. She did enjoy some good old-fashioned make-out session in a drive-in movie with some past dates, but this seemed much better than she had before. It wasn't a surprise that she and other girls around the school have fantasized kissing Lisa's soft lips a time or two when they were alone in the bedroom wondering what it would be like to experiment with one of the school's beauties. It was well known in higher popularity circles as well as with all the cheerleaders. Thankfully Lisa found it cute and a compliment towards her. From Naruto's position, he was really enjoying the show and he wasn't talking about the movie as he had all but abandoned watching and chose to focus on the two hot girls on his fingers. "How do my lips feel, Jenny?" Lisa asked as she broke the embrace after pulling Jenny's tongue from her mouth with her own tongue, leaving a rope of saliva connecting the two. "They feel so soft and taste so sweet," Jenny moaned out as she licked Lisa's lips before Lisa smiled and stroked Jenny's cheek. "Of course they do, they get soft from all the juices Naruto shoots on my face and down my throat," Lisa said as she kissed Jenny again, whose eyes widened at the fact before kissing Lisa back feverishly. Naruto smiled as he finged the two girls even faster, making them both break the embrace and let out a before Lisa smirked. "Oh, it looks like Lil Naruto wants some fun as well," Lisa said as Jenny turned her head and smiled lustfully as she saw the bulge in his pants. "Do you want a taste?" Lisa whispered to Jenny as the redhead nodded vigorously, making Naruto smile as he slid his drenched fingers out of Jenny and started to unzip his pants as he pulled his seat back a bit to make room for the upcoming events. Lisa, who wanted to surprise Jenny with Naruto's size, moved the redhead's face closer to his pants just as he brought up his member, which flew out smacking Jenny in the cheek as her eyes widened in shock at the mere size of it, let alone the girth as well. "It's huge. This isn't little at all," Jenny thought out in surprise as she slowly started eating and kissing from its base to the tip. "Doesn't it taste good?" "To me it tastes like candy. What do you taste?" Lisa asked out as she rubbed Jenny's peach while the girl was leaning forward to suck on the tip of Naruto's PP, getting some pre-juice in her mouth. "It's so delicious. It tastes like cherries," Jenny moaned out as she continued to lick and suck on his PP for its first few inches. This went on for several minutes as Jenny bobbed her head up and down on Naruto's rod as Lisa made out with her boyfriend with one of Jenny's hands fingering herself quickly. "Jenny, it's coming. I'm about to leak." Naruto moaned out as he used his one now free hand to shove more of his PP into Jenny's mouth as he released his load into Jenny's mouth. Jenny's eyes widened in surprise from the brief warning as she tried to swallow the load shooting down her throat directly to her stomach. After the last few bursts of juices died down, she let go of his PP with a slight pop before taking some deep breaths with an occasional cough or two. "God, that was intense and tasted so good," Jenny panted out as she licked her lips with a content smile. "I know, I could live of that delicious syrup," Lisa said with a smile as she grabbed Jenny's shirt and pulled it off, exposing the redhead's DD cup melons squeezed into a lacy purple BR that barely held them in. "So is there a way to get your seat to fold out and to darken the windows? I don't want that lonely pervert Steve to see all this." Jenny said as she unclipped her BR from the front to show her lightly freckled melons with inverted tips. "Trust me, Jenny, this car is a bit special," he said as he pressed a few buttons under his seat that darkened the windows and removed the center console, bringing the two front seats closer to each other as well as bring the backs of the chairs down to create an almost bed from all the seats. "DMN, nice features, Naruto," Jenny said as she kissed Naruto deeply, basically pouncing on him before she pulled away. "I hope my melons are to your liking. They are a bit weird she tried to say before she moaned loudly at the sensation of Naruto's mouth latching onto her right NPL with him eating the inside of them reaching the inverted tips. "They aren't weird at all, my little race queen," he said as he latched back onto them and ate on them, causing her to even louder as she felt him suck one of them out. "In or out, you and your melons are appealing," he said as she panted from the sensation of having one of her tips brought out by him, which turned her on a lot more. I want to try some," Lisa said as she crawled over and latched her mouth to Jenny's other BRST. Jenny breathlessly moaned as both Naruto and Lisa ate on her melons before Lisa worked her other NPL out and they both lightly bit on them and pulled as they were trying to milk her with their mouths, which sent her over as she found herself leaking at the jolts of pleasure that shot through her repeatedly. "I think she's ready," Lisa said with a smile as she wiggled Jenny's skirt and panties off, exposing Jenny's drenched PP that had a nice patch of orange hair over it that was neatly trimmed. Jenny, if you can, nod if you are okay with Naruto f your brains out, Lisa told Jenny, who had a dazed smile on her face before she worked up the strength to nod. Please. I want that huge tool plowed through me, Jenny spoke out weakly as she laid back and spread her legs with a large smile. Who am I to refuse a lovely lady's request, Naruto said as he lined the tip of his PP with Jenny's soaking wet pages. Now hold my hands and squeeze since this might hurt a bit, he said as he linked his hands with Jenny's. Don't worry Foxy, it broke last year on accident in gym class so you can go rough if you want. Jenny said with a smile. Naruto nodded as he smirked and moved his foot-long member as far as Jenny could take in one quick and powerful move that caused the redhead to let out a loud quivering that ended with a smile and a giggle. Holy crp, it's so perfect, Jenny moaned out before she felt Lisa eating on her melons again. What are you waiting for Foxy? F me brainless, Jenny said as Naruto growled in his throat and Lisa smirked. You shouldn't have said that, he really will do that, Lisa said as she rested her head on Jenny's BRST before Jenny's head shot back as Naruto started suddenly thrusting incredibly fast and strong into her. FFF. Don't you dare stop. Jenny moaned out as she was on cloud 9 from how his PP was hitting all of the correct spots and was even repeatedly crashing his tip into the entrance to her WMB. It was heaven. Naruto won't give up until you pass out now, but don't worry, it'll feel great, Lisa said as she started squeezing and massaging Jenny's melons as she continued to SEK on them. Jenny though didn't hear any of it as the only sound her mind registered was the slapping and wet sounds of his PP ramming in and out of her soaking PP and Naruto's growls. How does it feel, does your PP want my PP to fill it up with my hot juices, he asked as she weakly nodded. I want to hear you say it. Tell me you want my juices to paint you white, he growled out as he grabbed her peach strong and used it for leverage to move even harder and deeper into her, nearly pushing his way into her WMB. Jenny tried to saw as she found it difficult to talk with all the pleasure shooting through her. Say it or I will pull my PP out right now, he growled out as Jenny took ragged breaths to gather the strength. No. I want your hot juices baby. I want your PP to pierce my WMB and fill it in my PP to the point it overflows. Don't take it away, she moaned out before panting in lust as he smiled and started to pick up the pace even more, something she didn't know he could do. Consider it done, he said as he continued to move before he nearly pulled out all the way until he rammed it back in her, breaking into her WMB as she felt wave after wave of hot juices shoot into her WMB and PP just as she started to leak all over his PP and stomach. Jenny's orgasm didn't die down for a full minute or two, after which she passed out with a fully content and unbelievably happy smile on her face. Naruto smiled as he pulled out of Jenny, thankful that Lisa had pulled out a towel to keep his juices from getting on his seats. Wow, you really filled her up Foxy, Lisa said as she watched the juices pour out of her before smiling and scooping up a bit on her finger and applying some to Jenny's lips. You know for the soft skin, Lisa said with a wink before she moaned as she felt Naruto pierce her as well from behind. It was safe to say neither of the girls even got to see the majority of the movie. By time they were done the movie was almost over with roughly 30 or so minutes left, making them slightly embarrassed that they went at it almost 2 hours straight. Thankfully not a lot of noises were made except for the occasional or grunt, so the others were too engrossed into the movie to actually notice, plus he did have black non-see-through windows for such an occasion. He also noticed Steve, in the car he was in, cowering beneath the steering wheel with a haunted look in his eye with his car date was ignored and just paid attention to the film. Naruto also proudly noted that Steve's friends were at least somewhat able to attract the girls with their arms over their shoulders for a start. Like Toshi actually sneaked in an embrace on his car date's cheek, earning a blush from said girl. Snot's date leaned her head on Snot's shoulder while he rested his head on hers, making him secretly thank every divine being in existence. As with Barry and his car date, while it was somewhat strong to see with their car a bit of a distance away, it was still romantic but weird at the same time on what he could try to make out but didn't want to fully find out. Naruto went to his glove compartment and pulled out some clean wipes to help get the two girls cleaned up so that the others wouldn't notice what they did in his car. It took only a few minutes getting things situated and flipping some switches to get the inside of his car and windows back to normal. By the time they got situated they saw there was plenty of time left to enjoy the rest of the film without anyone else knowing the wiser of what went on, and as the film eventually ended it was starting to get pretty late. Jenny's friends got out of their respective cars with their car dates, minus Steve and his date due to Steve still clutching the steering wheel. The other girls thanked their dates, and Naruto actually saw Toshi's and Snot's dates handing their respective dates a slip of paper to which he assumed was their phone numbers. Steve's date was walking over to her car and called out for the others to come on over so she could take them home. "So Jenny, may I drive you home?" he asked with a smile as Jenny was still on her orgasm high from their fun earlier. "Yeah, but you have to promise to give me more of that in the future," Jenny said as she smiled and leaned forward, letting him see her cleavage more. "Oh, trust me, you will get even more of that. I'll call you later tonight and explain everything to you of how this works," Lisa said as Jenny smiled. "Whatever it is, my answer is yes." "I don't care what it is when you tell me," Jenny said as she was not about to let this god get away after the amazing time she had just experienced. "Well then, I'll be sure to bring an extra key to my house tomorrow at school," he said with a smile as Jenny leaned against him with a smile as he drove his newest lover to her home with Lisa in the back seat. He soon dropped Jenny off at her place before she kissed him deeply goodnight as she got out of the car and walked inside of her home, letting Lisa hop back into the front seat. As the two drove back to his place, Lisa already messaged her parents she was going to be staying at her friend's place for the night on a study session. By the time they pulled into Naruto's garage, the blonde's phone started going off and saw that it was Francine. "Hey Francine, how was your evening?" Naruto said over the phone as he soon walked inside of his home with Lisa following behind. "It was fine. I was over at my muffin store all night to finish getting things ready for the opening coming up soon. From preparing the muffin batter and freezing the large batches of each kind to get them ready to cook early that opening morning. Not only had that but had to wait for the rest of the construction workers to finish up the basic work so I can design the rest of the place," Francine said in a tone that Naruto could tell she was very tired from the long day. "Well, I have been meaning to ask, but when I dropped by your place earlier I saw all of the cars in the backyard." "Francine, did something stupid recently happen? Roger and Klaus briefly told me that Stan was involved," Naruto said in a bit of concern, getting him to hear her sigh over the phone. "Oh, you know, of course Stan did something stupid, but nothing too serious. You don't have to worry yourself over it really, we have it under control," Francine said, trying to sound optimistic herself, but she knew the situation would only get worse. "Are you sure, Fran? I mean, I can be more than happy to help you and Hailey out if needed. Money doesn't matter when compared to you being safe and stable," Naruto said with a frown as Francine always seemed to have trouble when it came to him helping her with money. "I know that, honey, but I don't want to rely on you too much. You have done so much for me and Hailey that we don't want to have you as our crutch all the time," Francine said as Naruto understood on what she was implying, but he had extremely bad feeling about it. "Okay then dear, but please let me know if things go too far and I can do what I can do to help," he said as he walked up to his room as Lisa went into her own room before kissing his cheek and said a brief goodnight. "Will do, Naruto. Anyways, I'm heading to bed now so I can get up early to head back to the store to do more preparation for the opening. Love you," Francine said with a happy tone. "Love you too, Fran. Still good luck tomorrow," he said before he hung up with a slight frown from worry. Naruto finished getting ready for bed and was about to head to bed before his phone received a text message from Jenny. "Thank you once again for this wonderful night, Foxy. I can't wait for the next time we get to have another rump. I'll give you more later after Lisa calls me. Hope you like, winky face." Following the message were a few photos attached. They showed a fully NDE Jenny in provocative poses on her bed with the lights slightly dimmed. He didn't see all of her details in his car earlier, but now he did, with seeing her flawless freckled rear with her fingers spreading her glistening lower lips in one, the next showed her in a spreading eagle position showing all of her PP, while the last photo had her with one arm crossed under her melons, making them push up and seem bigger with her tip still poking out. He chuckled as he saved the pictures to his phone and set one of them for Jenny's contact picture before lifting the covers of his bed to see a few girls already asleep cuddling with each other with them fully clothed. They must have wanted to have some bonding time with me tonight, no love making but just regular bonding time. I'll have to make it up to them later. Naruto thought before he carefully moved his way into the bed without waking the girls up. Once he got into position, the others unconsciously moved around and clung onto him as the stronger source of warmth. I just hope that things go well for Francine on her end, he thought as he wrapped his arms around his girls as best he could before sleep took over. Next day. Naruto smirked and let out a chuckle as he woke up a bit before anyone from the soft chime of his phone alerting him to a message, already figuring who it was from before he unlatched one of his arms and turned on his phone to see another message from Jenny. Hey Foxy, sorry I didn't send those pictures I promised you last night. Just after Lisa telling me the situation, which I am all for, I got a bit tired playing. If you catch my drift, I hope you like these new pictures and video, winky face. Some of the pictures attached were more of a variety from the ones he got last night. One was once again on her bed, but this time she was licking a DLD with his name written on it, while the second one was her inserting the DLD in her pages. He soon checked on the video and it was of her in the shower after she situated her phone on the shower wall carefully before she started playing with herself before she came a few times while muttering his name. Before he could enjoy the video anymore, it got paused as he received a call making him groan on who it was before answering. Uzumaki, I regretfully have to inform you that you have another mission that must require your full attention. One of our CIA agents, you may know him as Stansmith, gave a terrorist money, passport and names of our most elite if agents and secrets to our government. We require you to track this terrorist and anyone involved with him, either killed on the spot or if the opportunity presents itself, capture him again. He is somewhere in Dubai the last we heard, so we need you there on the double, no mistakes. The call soon ended from there as Naruto groaned and moved up, getting a few girls to wake up. What's wrong, Foxy? Janet asked as she rubbed her eyes and sat up from the bed, noticing her lover standing on the other side of the room with a frown on his face. Sorry hun, I got a call from work and I need to head out immediately. I'll be gone for at least a few days and at most a week. Naruto said, regretfully seeing their saddened faces as he went over to the bed and hugged them. It's okay, we understand. Just promise you'll come back to us in one piece. Tiffany said as she rubbed the sleep out of her eyes. Will do, girls. Will do. Naruto said as he let go of them and took a quick shower before finishing getting ready to head on out. Before getting to his car, he gave each of the girls that was at the home a chaste but love-filled embrace. From there he sped his car as he accessed his phone to get further details in his target so he can get things prepared. After a bit of time studying the information, he cursed Stan for getting him into this situation of cleaning up this mess. He isn't all that great of a husband and father to Francine and his kids, but he was a decent agent at best. Though he did have to wonder what the bloody hell got him to mess up like this. He groaned as he decided to worry about it later after this stupid leak is taken care of. He just found it stupid since you were literally taught in interrogation 101 how to extract information properly, and Stan seemed to do the exact opposite. Hours later, Dubai. After a long flight in a CIA stealth plane that his boss had set up a few hours later, Naruto found himself on top of a warehouse building in Dubai looking through a skylight. Seeing his intended target conversing with multiple armed bodyguards and a heavily bearded Middle Eastern. He couldn't quite hear what they were saying, but he figured they were using the information that Stan had given them to go after the operative stationed here to protect the diplomats that were in the area. Now or never, Naruto sighed before putting on a custom kitsune mask designed for him, before silently opening the skylight, and jumping onto the furthest away bodyguard, seeking his kunai into his awaiting throat, killing him instantly. 1 down, 10 more to go, Goody, Naruto thought with a sigh before he eased into the shadows and continued on with his mission to clear out the building and retrieve the info Stan had basically given them. He just wanted to get it done and go back to his girls. Plus he needed to have a few choice words with Stan about all this. He was also going to get on Stan's CIA department for being so lax on letting a Dutch such as Stan bomb a simple interrogation. It was safe to say he wasn't happy. An hour later. Naruto Uzumaki calling in to say mission complete. Naruto called in as he had his steel boot crushing down on the head of the terrorist that Stan had set free as his bodyguards were all dead and slumped over around them. The target in question was alive as per orders for the mission but all fair game with anyone else though and he had some pent-up aggression to release on this CRP he had to deal with. Great work. Fast as always Mr. Uzumaki. Is the info retrieved and the terrorist alive? They asked as Naruto scoffed. Yes, do you think I am new to this unlike Agent Smith? I need extract at the warehouse shown on my GPS, helicopter would be best to the airport while you guys take the target from there. I found out some interesting information when I captured this guy who told me really quick when he saw me kill the guy next to him. They were planning multiple bombings in different countries, he said as the terrorist whined under his foot until he shut up after seeing Naruto pull back the hammer of the gun and point it down at him. Stop whimpering and just go to sleep. Naruto pulled the trigger and shot the man in the neck to show that a tranquilizer dart was sticking out getting the target to quickly fall asleep. Right away Mr. Uzumaki and as always your payment is sent to your account, his boss said before he hung up. You're really glad I have orders to keep you alive or I would have killed you to get home sooner, Naruto said as he waited for his ride which showed up about half an hour later. The agents in the helicopter properly restrained the unconscious terrorist while Naruto stepped in to get to the Dubai airport. After some time getting to the airport, he had messaged his girlfriends that he was done with his mission and heading straight back, but not before decided to swing by the Virginia CIA branch to have a few choice words with the deputy director about letting incompetent agents run around. Langley Falls. Naruto was thankful that due to him making quick work of the mission he was easily able to return home in only a day and a half instead of the estimated 4 to 5 day minimum estimated time for the mission. He did stop on by to the Virginia CIA office to quickly chat with the deputy director stationed there but he was out sick due to food poisoning from the night before so Naruto would have to come on by later once the deputy director was feeling a whole lot better. Although he did get some current information on Stan that he was suspended until further notice due to letting the one terrorist go and all that fun CRP Naruto had to deal with for his one mission in Dubai. Serves him right really and would at least give the Virginia deputy director some points in that action. Before he could dwell on that any longer he received a text. Checking his phone he found out it was from Hailey making him raise an eyebrow as she normally called unless it was either an emergency or wanted to do a cute message between them before going to bed. Naruto, you need to get here quick. We're head deep in bills and we've gone bankrupt and we got nothing left except the house and the clothes on our backs. Hailey wrote making his eyes widen. Hailey, you, Francine, Roger and Klaus can stay at my place for as long as you guys need to until things can get settled with whatever is going on. And yes Steve can come on over as well but he'll have to stay in a separate guest room for his stay. He is not allowed in and of the girls' rooms. I'll let the other girls know and be prepared for your arrival. Naruto texted quickly before he made his way to his car to get home quickly. As he got in he got a quick message from the raven-haired Smith beauty he got less worried. Thank you so much. Mom and I wouldn't know what to do without you. Love you lots 3 foot Naruto smiled on this since he would do anything to make his girls happy. Love you as well. I'm heading over there right now. Naruto quickly wrote down before he quickly messaged the others and drove home as quickly as he could. After a bit of time on the freeway and traffic, he made it home and the moment he got inside he was briefly caught off guard as Hailey jumped onto him and hugged the living daylights out of him. Hey Hailey, it's good to see you hun. I missed you. Naruto said as he gave Hailey a loving embrace to which she responded kindly. I missed you as well. She said as she got off of him but kept his hand in hers. So where's your mom and brother? Naruto quickly asked as he saw the frustration on her features that he will have to take care of later with a full body massage. Steve is currently at one of his friend's place since he surprisingly doesn't want to stay over here at all, he wouldn't say why exactly. As for Mom, she just came back a bit ago from the mall to get the last of the things finished off for the store's opening tomorrow. She is currently taking a nap in our room and she doesn't want to be disturbed for the rest of the day with her obviously pissed off at my dad. Hailey said with a sigh, getting Naruto to nod in understanding. Don't worry Hailey, I will fix whatever chaos your dad caused. On the way over when I was stuck in traffic, I pulled some strings and I got the number of the bank that was repossessing your house to buy it back from them, he said as Hailey smiled and kissed his cheek with a smile. Thanks hon, you are absolutely the best boyfriend ever. Hailey said as she hugged him tightly. Although the stuff with the cars and the one blimp, yeah, I have no idea what that was about, Stan will have to take care of on his own since it is all in his name and I can't do a thing about it besides saving the house. He said, getting Hailey to nod as he pet her head with a smile. That's good to know and one less thing to worry about. All I want to worry about now is just Mom feeling a bit better along with our first day at the muffin shop tomorrow, he said as Hailey frowned before he kissed her forehead. Go get some of your things put in your room. I have a lot I need to do, he said as Hailey nodded and went up to her room. He sighed as he once again had to clean up a mess of Stans as he called up the bank, thankful that money was not something he worried about in his life. He did worry about Francine right now, with her being a total wreck right now, with being stressed out with this recent event to getting things ready for her big day tomorrow. The call to the bank didn't nearly take as long as he expected, as the bank was more than willing to accept the money with a bit extra to give him the title to the house instead of returning it back to Stan, making sure the idiot could endanger his girls anymore. After things were taken care of, he made his way to where Francine was with a cup of tea and quietly opened the door to see her sprawled out on the bed, deeply asleep. He smiled and set down the cup of tea before he caressed her cheek while she unconsciously leaned against it in a cute manner and kissed her forehead to make her smile in her sleep. Hope you sleep well, Francine. I'll make this up to you soon enough, I promise. He whispered to her as he covered her up with the bed sheets before leaving the room. Next day. It was the big day for Francine and Naruto decided to make it special for her like he promised. He got up early and made her breakfast in bed with all the fixings that she greatly enjoyed. Wake up dear, it's the big day, he whispered to her as he set down the tray next to her with a smile as she stirred in her sleep. Naruto. Oh God. I had this terrible dream that Stan lost the house and made us homeless, she muttered with a frown as he stroked her cheek, brushing the hair out of her face. Sorry Francine, but that wasn't a dream. It really did happen. Though the good news is that I fixed it and bought the house back so Stan won't be able to endanger you again, he said as Francine smiled brightly, well as brightly as she could since she was still tired, and kissed him lovingly. You are too good for me, I swear, Francine cried out as he pet her head and kissed the top of it. Oh, you also made me breakfast in bed. You know just how to really cheer me up, she said as she gazed at the delicious meal next to her. Well, I want to help give you a good start for your big day today with the store's opening. From what the other girls told me yesterday, that they can't wait for their first day at their new job with you being their boss. Naruto said as he saw her digging into her meal, hungry after all the stress she had to deal with recently. First off hun, you are an excellent cook as always and this meal is more delicious than ever before. Second, I know and I can't wait for today as well. I'm just nervous on how this day will go and I'll have to get there soon to start the opening process, the blonde smith said as she finished up her meal. Well, I'll be over there later to be there for you for sure, but I have one thing I need to deal with, he said as he kissed Francine softly on her lips as she smiled at him. Just so you know, I got messages from the others that are in the opening shift are already up and finishing getting ready for you and wish you luck. So I think you should finish getting ready as well so I can drop you and Hailey off early enough before I do my thing. Naruto said, getting Francine to nod before she started getting undressed in front of Naruto without a care right now since he already seen her naked several times. "I'll be sure to celebrate with you later tonight after the opening," he said as he kissed her neck, making her smile before he went down to wait for her in the kitchen. After a quick shower, Francine stepped out of the shower and quickly got dressed with Hailey and Naruto waiting for her in the kitchen before they went to his car and headed towards the mall. Once dropping the two Smith girls off, he kissed them and wished them luck before heading out for his one errand. As Naruto neared on the Virginia CIA headquarters, he really hoped Stan was there so he could threaten the man for endangering two of his precious loved ones. "Bullock, where the hell is Stan?" Naruto ordered out as he noticed Stan's boss talking with a few other agents near the entrance. From what Naruto could see from the deputy director, he appeared a bit better but still a bit pale as he was coming out of his sickness. "Oh, Agent Uzumaki, I didn't expect to see you drop by here," Bullock said as he frowned as he knew about the agent that was under orders to look after Stan and his family for the man's actions. "Yes, now where is Stan?" Naruto asked as Bullock's frowned. "Not here, I assure you. I had to let him go for the timing being due to several reasons, but my agents tell me he is currently living in a car in the downtown area," Bullock said as he handed Naruto an address of the last place Stan was seen. "Well, that's good to know, sir, and it's also good to know that you're doing a better job than I anticipated," Naruto said, getting the deputy director to raise an eyebrow but quickly guessed that because of Stan's actions that it left Avery in a bad light. "Well, I assure you that whatever you were thinking before was false. I do have my limits with agents, and with Stan's recent actions I had to punish him until further notice. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll be needing to lie down soon since this blasted illness is making me lightheaded," Bullock said as he staggerly walked away before he barfed into a nearby trash can before he made his way to the medical wing of the building. Naruto felt bad for the deputy director right now that he had to come into work today, but guessed he had to SCK it up for the time being to at least put up a decently strong image for his agents. Putting that aside, Naruto made it back to his car and went to the designated address and searched through nearby blocks. He almost was hit by some drunk driver that Naruto briefly glanced at the driver who had what appeared to be a golden turd in his hand before driving away. Shaking that odd image out of his head, he kept on the task at hand before he eventually found Stan with a thick beard and a lot of junk in a car of his. "Oi! Get up, you peach!" Naruto yelled as he kicked Stan's door loudly, startling Stan. "Okay, I'm up. I'll drive out of the area, officer." "Oh, it's you," Stan said as he saw Naruto narrowing his eyes at him. "Hello to you too, asshat. What the hell were you thinking buying all those cars and bankrupting your family? Do you have any idea what you did to get them so worried and stressed out? I have half a mind to knock a lot of sense into you for what you did, but I would like to hear what you have to say for yourself before I decide to shoot your kneecaps for the hell of it," Naruto sternly said, getting Stan to fidget on that statement. "Well, I was taken advantage of by a car salesman when I tried getting Francine a new car for starters, and he practically mind raped me into buying more and more cars, and things just went downhill from there. It practically ruined my mojo at interrogating at work and screwed me up badly. Now I'm like this and can't get things to work in my favor again," Stan said with an odd twitch in the eye, getting Naruto to guess that Stan snapped quite a bit ago. "Well, that's what most salesmen do, and you try to not fall into their wordplay and tactics or else you get screwed in the end. Sure, most people fall for it while others don't, but that's what haggling is for, and you need to be smart on that. Hell, you should have anticipated this in the first place and not let your guard down, or else you'll get in this kind of situation or worse," Naruto said before Stan looked away. "Look, you should try to get this fixed, or else you'll really be out of a job and things with the rest of your life will be ruined. I said my piece and I'm heading off. You do what you do to make things right soon, or else it'll be too late to recover," the blonde said before walking back to his car and drove off to head over to the mall to see how Francine's business was doing. Langley Falls Shopping Mall. It took some time getting to the mall and finding a parking spot, but once he got inside, he made his way to the Nuffin but Muffin shop, and once he made it there he saw that business was booming with the line reaching out of the shop and customers were crowding several tables eating a lot of Francine's muffins, and the ones waiting in line were watching whatever was on the mounted wall flat screen TV so they weren't bored. He chuckled as he mostly saw many of the customers were men and guessed that with the many beauties working at the store would attract a lot of males and ogle at his girls. He didn't personally mind at all on that bit since they only have their sights on him. Aside from that, he decided to make his way inside to see how things fully went and to say hi to his girls. He noted that he couldn't make any NTMT interactions with them aside from Lisa and Hailey, which really irked him since those two were the only ones he could show his relationship with in public. "Hi girls, I see that opening day so far is a success," Naruto said, gaining their attention. The girls smiled and were happy to see their lover on their first day of work at the muffin shop. "Oh, it's totally great Naruto, and things are doing excellently well. Hell, the tips we are earning are making US bank so far and we still have a few hours left for the day," Janet said as she was handing out several muffins to other waiting customers as Tiffany, Lisa, and Hailey were on the cash registers. Naruto soon spotted Linda sitting with Lindsay and Becky, who were on their lunch break, having some coffee and muffins, and he quickly went over to them and quickly said hello to them. From there, Naruto saw Francine walk out of the break room and he waved at her, to which she responded back with a smile. "Seems that your one dream is really going well for its first day, Francine," Naruto said as Francine gave him a bright smile. "I know, and we all have you to thank, Naruto. If it wasn't for you then I don't know what would happen with us," she said as she gave him a brief hug. She would have wanted to give him an embrace, but she had to keep appearances for now and her break was over, so she had to get back behind the counter to help out with the orders and whatever else for the remainder of the day. Naruto had gone back in line and went in as a customer to help pay for his meal while giving a proper hello to the girls at the cashier. They gave him a bright smile before having to focus on the orders since it was still busy for the rest of the workday. Business before pleasure really, and they still have a few hours left before they can have fun. By the end of the workday, they were all sold out of the muffins that were made for the day and had to close up a bit early so that they can prepare more muffins for the next day with how business was booming. The girls had celebrated a successful first day back at Naruto's home with some little entertainment, more so for Francine with him keeping his promise to Francine, and boy, it was an eventful night of the two having love making all night long. Sure, the other girls had their own fun on their own, but they had to get ready for the next day with their things for the time being. It had been some months after Stan's little fiasco with him claiming he lost his touch and almost sent his family into poverty. Stan had planned on going crazy to try and save $10 on the car for Francine. She wasn't happy with that. Luckily, the dealership returned all of the cars the Smiths bought on account of the dealer doing the paperwork incorrectly and pocketing some of the money for himself. During that time nothing particularly major happened other than improving his relationship with all his girls and making sure to spend almost every second with each of them, as with it slowly growing he wanted to make sure none of them felt left out. While his group grew, he also noticed how Kurama and Ami's relationship had also improved, which made Naruto happy. He was glad as he thought that Kurama deserved true happiness even though he was a pervert at heart. Francine's muffin business had also been booming, but things had started to die down a bit to make it easier everyone working there to handle. Figuring out which times of the day were the busiest helped them manage the store easier while they were able to relax whenever it calmed down. Having a bed in a soundproof break room also helped the girls out with dealing with pent-up stress or if they suddenly got horny. Stan wasn't all that happy about the business when he found out about it since he wanted to be in control, but he needed to realize that he couldn't control everything or else it would bite him in the peach. He didn't tell anybody, but his birthday was approaching faster than he expected and he would be a legal adult even though he has already had a cc, drank, and even killed before. Although he is now old enough to try gambling legally. He honestly didn't know how to feel about his birthday as it was coming up on October 10th. He never had been one to celebrate it, and most of the time he only celebrated it with him except for his grandparents and Scarlett, who he still needed to get in contact with as he had settled down fully in Langley Falls. It was a sore time for him since his parents had died after he was born and his godparents were too busy to put all their focus on him. He didn't mind honestly and understood, but he did wish he could at least have a decent birthday after he got into a serious relationship to at least make it more memorable. Although he really did like the birthday videos Scarlett sent him and the wet panties one year. Naruto woke up with a stifled yawn and checked the time to see it was 4 in the morning, only October 8th. Almost time for my birthday. No good dwelling on it any further, maybe this year can maybe be different with all the girls this year, he thought with a shrug before sitting up and standing up off his bed, stretching his sore muscles with a satisfying pop before heading towards his bathroom to shower and freshen up. After getting out he put his clothes on. He smelt an amazing aroma while heading downstairs, making a beeline towards the kitchen. Once he got in he smiled at the amazing sight of both Tiffany and Lisa wearing nothing but matching aprons that read, "Embrace the cook," with red lipstick embraced designs underneath the bold words. Seeing the sight of two of his appealing girls stark naked, their rears swaying in front of him as they hummed and cooked made Naruto a little hot and slightly horny. Naruto smiled as he snuck up behind them and quickly grabbed both their peaches, sinking his fingers into their plump peach. He smiled as they both let out a cute little squeak, jumping in surprise and making them slightly out in pleasure. Naruto could feel how wet their pussies were getting as he squeezed and kneaded their peaches. They got really horny from that sudden grab. "How are my himes doing this fine morning?" Naruto whispered out huskily as he softly kissed their necks, making them blush. "Good, now that you're up, Foxy," Lisa said, turning around with a lovely smile on her flawless face before pecking him on the lips. That's good then, so what are you all making?" Naruto asked curiously with a lazy smile as he was still slightly asleep even though he was grpng their peaches. "Pancakes, eggs, bacon, toast and some orange juice. We made sure to make enough for everyone," Tiffany said with a smile before she too received an equally passionate embrace on her full and pouty lips. "Great. I'll go wake everyone up and get them ready," Naruto said, already heading back upstairs to wake everyone, making the two girls nod but whine slightly as his hands pulled away from their rears. After waking all the girls in the house, getting whines, grumbles, and attempts to have some morning sec, he was finally able to get them downstairs as Lisa and Tiffany had set up the table. After the table was finally set they all started to take their places at the table. "So how did everyone sleep?" Naruto asked as he gave Janet an embrace on her cheek as she sat down at the table. "Comfortable, but it felt cold without you," Janet whined as he wrapped his arms around her from behind and pet her stomach, which was bare due to the revealing negligee that she wore. "Trust me, once I've made the house bigger or just buy a bigger one, I'll get the biggest bed I can find, just for us," Naruto replied back with a smile, giving her neck a soft embrace as he made some of the girls start thinking up some naughty thoughts with all them sharing one bed together. "Yeah, right now only 2, maybe 3 of us can really fit on your bed with you. You desperately need a bigger 1-inch," Lindsay said as while she, Becky, and Lisa had gotten to share the bed with him today it had been a bit cramped. "Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lindsay was using my chst as a pillow through the night," Becky teased as she pushed up her large chst a bit, making Lindsay blush a bit. "Plus with Jenny being a new part of our group as well as Linda, Francine and Hailey occasionally coming by, we definitely need more space and rooms for them all," Lisa said with a chuckle as the group was growing rather fast, not that she minded. "I'll look into getting a bigger place later today or a bigger bed," he said with a chuckle as he quickly gave Lindsay and Becky a soft embrace on the cheek as Tiffany walked into the dining room with food, still wearing nothing but an apron, like Lisa, that made him work strong to resist plowing into them. Oh, bigger bed. I like the sound of that," Tiffany said with a smirk as she had caught the end of the conversation. "Are we all going to break it in when we get it?" she asked as he chuckled. "You bet your peach we will," Naruto said with a laugh, making everyone at the table giggle and to think about having a massive org on the bed. "But how about we save the bedroom talk for later since it is breakfast and we do have school," he said as they pouted but nodded as they started to plate up the breakfast. "Oh yeah, we do," Tiffany replied with a pout as she really wanted to fool around a bit before school but knew they rarely had time in the morning for it. "I have been meaning to ask you, Tiff, how are you doing in your classes?" Lisa asked with a raised eyebrow as with everything going on in their lives she had been curious how she was handling it all. Really good actually. I'm getting straight A's from studying and you guys helping to pitch in every now again. The professor says I have the potential to pass college early. Tiffany replied with a happy squeal, getting happy smiles out of everyone. That's my girl. Naruto said with a happy smile as he kissed her cheek. Now come on, let's eat up this delicious breakfast that Lisa and Tiffany made for us, and afterwards I'll give a ride for everyone, he said as the girls nodded and started to enjoy their meal with only slight footsies from Naruto after they started it. He had to go and break the speed limit a bit to get them to school as Lisa and Tiffany had teased him too much in their aprons by bending over in front of him, causing him to have some morning fun with all the girls. First he had to stop by Tiffany's college, giving her a passionate embrace on the lips which caused the men on campus to send jealous and angry looks towards him, not that he cared, before he sped off with Lisa in the front seat, now going 65 miles per hour to get to school on time. As he helped the girls get out of the back seat, he gave them each a quick embrace before they all had to rush off as the bell warning them they were going to be late soon had started ringing just as they had slid into the parking spot. Gym class, I can deal with that today. Especially since some of my girls will be there, in gym uniforms, Naruto thought with a shrug and slight smirk as he remembered what classes they had today before walking off, still having 5 minutes before the last bell rang. Gym class. Somehow Steve is still able to cause trouble even when he's not here, Naruto thought with a slight facepalm since Steve had skipped gym class. So while it was usually the gym teacher and son's job to hunt kids who were ditching down, the man had decided to make it a whole class participation of the boys' class, while they were weirdly followed by a German Shepherd and Rottweiler that came out of nowhere to help hunt the wayward student. DMN, Steve is making me miss the girls doing pole vaulting and hurdles. I could be watching them bounce and do some stretches, but no, now I have to find that annoying brat, he thought as he walked down the dim-lightened hallway he had heard noises coming from. He frowned as he looked above him, seeing some dust fall down from the ceiling boards, as he only had one suspicion on who it was above him since he only knew one kid who was that determined to escape gym. Being tall enough, he was able to easily move the ceiling tile and put it down quietly, as he was easily able to jump through the hole without a sound from all his CIA training and experience under his belt. Naruto sighed as he saw Steve chatting up with a girl inside the vents. The girl, while having some weight on her, was rather cute since it brought out a gothic vibe out of her, giving her an exotic feel. Her melon seemed to be around a B or C cup, and with the way she sat he could see she had a rather large rear. She wasn't exactly fat in an obese way, more so in a way that gave her some meat that took the shape of some plump thighs, as well as a nice peach and melons, as he had noticed already. If he had to categorize her, it would definitely be as a big appealing woman type of body shape, which actually suited her just fine. She had long black hair that went a bit past her shoulders, as she wore a purple dress with a matching purple choker and a black belt with golden buckle around her waist, her outfit finishing off with a pair of black ankle-high boots. She even had matching purple lipstick on that he found made her full lips look rather cute and a slightly kissable. I think I've seen her around school somewhere before. I think she's more of a recluse considering I haven't spoken to her before, he thought as he decided to not ruin the moment, since it would get the girl in trouble as well, as he dropped back out of the vents silently. After dropping out, he sighed as he leaned against a locker close by with his arms crossed, waiting for Steve to re-emerge again so he could get him back to class. He didn't have to wait long as Steve came out of the vents 5 minutes later with a dim-witted smile on his face. Naruto could already guess what happened between the two, and as gym class was halfway over he just cleared his throat loudly, catching Steve's attention and making the boy jump in shock and surprise. And Naruto, what are you doing here? Steve asked, a bit afraid as he heard dogs barking around them and the sound of feet running, echoing through the halls. I'm here to come get your scrawny peach and bring it back to gym class, even if you're kicking or screaming. Because of you, I missed some much needed time in that class, so let's go now before I lose any more time. Naruto grunted out angrily before walking up towards Steve and grabbing him by the collar of his shirt and start pulling him towards the gym room, as Steve started to punch Naruto in the back multiple times with no effect whatsoever. Steve could only let out a hiss of pain as his hands throbbed in pain from hitting Naruto's muscled back. Come on. Just let me go and live. Steve yelled as Naruto sighed. No. So either stop struggling or I will knock you out, please give me a DMN good excuse to knock you out. Naruto said as Steve calmed down and gave up as Naruto continued to pull him along. Finally arriving back inside the gym, he could see everyone there again as if they already knew Steve would be back at that exact moment. Naruto frowned as he threw Steve in front of the coach with a grunt before going to stand with the other students. The rest of the day happened without a hitch but was overall boring except lunch where he was sitting with all his loved ones, Jenny being the newest one to join as she sat next to him with Lisa on his other side. There were a few arrogant jocks who thought they could touch up on his lovers but they knew not to actually do anything as they most likely remembered the last time someone had tried to and how he gave each of them black eyes, bloody noses and a few broken bones. As school ended he smiled at the text from Francine, inviting him over to her house for a small dinner. It all seemed to work out as while he wished all of his girls could stay with him at home some of them had to return to their homes. Plus this way he could give some affection to 2 of the 3 of his girls who couldn't stay with him nearly as much as the others could. As he arrived at the Smith house he smiled and knocked on the front door, which was quickly answered by Hailey who he gave a passionate embrace on the lips and let him squeeze her peach before he was let in. He rose an eyebrow slightly as he saw the Smith family on the couch and recliners watching TV, Steve being the only one missing. The odd thing about the scene was the TV wasn't even on as Stan seemed to be admiring himself in the reflection of the TV making him shake his head at the arrogance of Stan. He briefly heard Roger having to write some report for some group he was in before the gray alien rushed up the stairs. Naruto chuckled slightly at the odd alien's hobbies before he was about to greet everyone in the house only for him to be rudely interrupted by Steve walking in behind him with his loud and obnoxious voice vibrating through the house. Good news everyone. I'm in love. Steve happily exclaimed. Oh, tell us about her, sweetie. Francine said happy that her son was finding love, but it would be short-lived as all of Steve's rare relationships didn't last more than a month. It's not that she didn't believe in her son, it's just he was utterly helpless with the opposite SEC that it was downright sad and laughable. Her name is Debbie, she smells like a glue stick and shares my interest in bug zappers and likes reading old books of guys who died of SYPHLS. Steve dreamily went on making Naruto raised his eyebrow at the glue stick part, he took a quick whiff of the air and discovered that was Steve's scent making Naruto recoil in slight disgust. SYPHLS. Ooh, la la. Francine jokingly said with a smile as she elbowed her husband a bit to at least get him to be a part of this. Great. Thanks to your gassing on, I completely missed why Mr. Belvedere is stomping on his hat. Roger said in a pissed-off mood as he got out of his seat. Now the internet is not going to be happy for this. So, what's this Debbie's affiliation? Varsity cheerleader or regular cheerleader? Stan said automatically assuming it was a top preppy or sports girl making all the women and Naruto roll their eyes at Stan's shallowness. Actually she's more of an artist, the Smith boy stated. In an emo/gothic sort of way. Naruto added in getting Steve to nod on that. Yeah, and she played Lady Macbeth in our school production of Oklahoma. Naruto quirked an eyebrow on that. Frankly, it was a mess but our drama teacher finally got sober, thank God. Ah, there it was. Actually Steve, I saw the play and it went half as bad as you said it was, some parts were stuttered out or forgotten but was overall a good play. Naruto pointed out seeing the play some couple weeks ago with Lisa. Sure the two were in the far back of the auditorium when they saw it with both of them Funjirin/Han each other for the duration of the show so they didn't really pay much attention on it. So she's an actress. Attaboy. Stan said as he rubbed his son's head getting said boy to smile more. My son is dating a hot actress. I guess, but mostly I like her because she's so unusual and fascinating. Of course she's fascinating. She's gorgeous. You haven't even met her yet and you think she's gorgeous already, was the unknowing shared thought between Hailey, Francine, and Naruto. And this girl actually wants to spend time with you, questioned Hailey, since this happens like every once in a while so she doesn't really keep track. Steve somehow gets a girl semi-interested in him but blows it in the end by being either stupid, shallow like his father, picky and/or a perverted idiot. So Hailey, at this point, wasn't getting overly excited like her father. He'll be back to square one in no time. As for Francine, she was generally happy for her son to possibly find someone to be with. For your information, she said she thinks I'm cute. Steve said smugly. So she lies. Great. That's how you know she doesn't have a pages. Stan said with the sentence completely out of the blue. Wait, what? Naruto thought with a WTF look on his face at what Stan just said. We can't wait to meet her, Steve. Francine said with her same appealing smile. You can say that again. It'll be nice to have a pretty girl around the house for a change. Stan said, completely ignoring his hot wife and equally hot daughter still maturing. Francine and Hailey glared at Stan for his words, making him sweat. I meant, a pretty younger girl. Still both kept up the glare. Don't get mad at me. It's called makeup. There's also something called not being a complete ass. Francine said with an angry huff before scooting away from said man. Cough, bullshit, cough. Naruto said, which the Smith men didn't hear him but the girls obviously did, making them giggle. Next day. It was the next day when Naruto got word from Hailey that Steve was successful in asking Debbie out on a date and actually invited her to dinner at the Smith residence. Of how that worked was Stan putting a CIA bomb collar, AF bomb collar, on Steve and set it to blow in half an hour if he wasn't successful in asking Debbie out. Yeah, that docked several notches from Francine when she heard that bit but didn't voice it out loud. Naruto obviously decided to come over for dinner and decided to help Francine out in cooking dinner. He would have invited one or two of his girlfriends but they were all currently busy with either work, family or late-night classes in Tiffany's case. Where's Debbie? Behind the fat girl? Stan asked as Naruto went to the living room to get the others into the kitchen. No, Dad, that's Dash. Is the fat girl going to lead us to Debbie? No, that's Dash. She's carrying a purse. She must have a map to Debbie in her purse. Stan persisted desperately. Stan, for the love of God, that's Debbie. Naruto pointed out as he was rubbing his eyes as per habit when dealing with Stan. To the panic room. Stan yelled out as he somehow dragged everyone in there. Get off me. Naruto with his strength was able to get out of Stan's grip, who didn't seem to notice his absence since he was leaving in a haste. Walking up to the door, Naruto opened it with a smile on his face as he saw the surprised look on the goth's face. Oh, hello. Who are you? Debbie asked. You look familiar, do I know you? Yeah, name's Naruto. We met when I was getting Steve back into PE, he said, getting to nod on that bit of information. Oh yeah, now I remember you. But why are you here right now? I thought this was Steve's house. It is. I'm currently dating Steve's sister and I was invited over. Helped cook dinner of course, but of what I can tell it's gonna get wasted. What do you mean? Debbie said with a raised eyebrow on her chubby but still equally cute face. Well, just so you know, Debbie, that since you plan on seeing Steve more often, you're going to be dealing with his father's antics. I won't give you the details on what recently happened, but this happens quite often as I have been told. Naruto with a sigh as he rubbed his hand through his hair to relieve his stress. Debbie! Steve yelled out as he ran towards her. Hey Steve, the goth said. Mom, Hailey, this is my date Debbie. Steve said, introducing his mother and sister to his date, but is wondering where his father is. While Hailey and Francine shakes Debbie's hand, Stan was being a paranoid idiot while being in the attic. Naruto went back into the kitchen and went back to cooking up dinner. He was able to cook up a good dinner of steak, biscuits, corn and other good assortments of food for the whole group, who all happily munched in and some expressing just how much they loved the food, though while they heard a door slam upstairs and heard Stan scream in horror, making Naruto raise a golden eyebrow, wondering what the idiot was exaggerating this time. "So Debbie, tell me a little about yourself, you seem like a generally interesting woman," Naruto asked with a smile, causing a small pink tint to appear on the goth's face. Well, I like poetry, writing, acting, I like food, and I also like to see the world in a different perspective," Debbie said with a little timidness in her voice. Naruto hummed. It was a weird but interesting way to introduce herself, but it fit her perfectly. While Naruto and Debbie were chatting, Steve was stuffing his face with the delicious food, not paying attention to anything. Francine and Hailey looked at each other, both sitting side to side of Naruto, before they nodded with a devious glint in their eyes. Slowly they started going down south underneath the table and both reached for Naruto's crotch. Naruto was chatting happily with Debbie when he felt two pair of hands massaging his crotch through his pants. "Oops, I dropped my spoon," Francine said before going underneath the table, no one questioning her sudden clumsiness. Stopping underneath Naruto, Francine pulled out Naruto's flaccid PP, which was still an impressive length, before swallowing it whole while massaging his tennis-sized ball. During this, Naruto was able to keep a somewhat straight face while talking to Debbie, which was an impressive feat. Of course Naruto wasn't idle, as he was fingering Hailey's snatch, making her strong pressed to hold in her moans. Francine was deep-throating the foot-long PP all the way to the base and would pull back and repeat the process. After about 10 minutes of this, which was surprising since no one questioned why it took Francine so long, Naruto felt his release finally coming as he started to buck his hips more, rocking the table a little as he blasted load after load of juices down Francine's eager throat. "Oops, dropped my fork," Debbie murmured as she got underneath the table to see a shocking sight. There Francine was, wife of Stansmith, in between the legs of Naruto, eating his PP. Gasping quietly, she sat there in silence as she watched Francine engulf his big PP wholeheartedly, feeling something which she looked down and to her shock was her own arsehole juice leaking out. She hasn't realized she had a little drool coming out of her mouth as she saw Naruto release buckets worth of juices down Francine's throat. Shaking out of her stupor, she quickly got back into the dinner table and tried to look normal. Looking over, she saw Steve on his phone not paying attention to her, and Stan was grumbling under his breath as he ate his food aggressively. Looking over, she saw Naruto had a lot of joy, same as Hailey, as she was moaning quietly. "Well, would you look at the time, my parents must be wondering where I am. Thank you for the food, everyone. See you tomorrow at school, Steve," Debbie said quickly pecking Steve on the cheek and hurrying out the door. It's a fat-free zone again," Stan said, breathing out a breath he didn't think he was holding. "Dad," Steve said angrily. "Well, it's getting late, guys, so me and Hailey gonna call it a night," Naruto said with a smile as he and a slightly dazed Hailey got up to leave. Francine got up from underneath the table to give Naruto a quick peck on the lips when Steve or Stan wasn't looking. "Bye Mom, Dad," Hailey said, leaving while leaning on Naruto for support. Naruto briefly forgot what tomorrow was, but he'd find out it wouldn't be like his other birthdays. Morning. Currently Naruto was in bed with Hailey, Lisa, Tiffany, Janet, Lindsay and Becky as they all snuggled up to him with smiles on their faces. Sneaking in the room was an average-sized 9-tailed fox and a brown-coated wolf with mischieving looks on their faces. Jumping into the bed quietly like a cat, they took a large breath of air. "Happy birthday, Naruto!" Kurama and Horo both shouted out, waking the blonde-haired male and the females sharing the bed. Leaning up, Naruto regarding the fox and wolf with a tired gaze as he checked the clock and saw that it was 7:30 before realizing what they said, before looking over to the women in his bed who looked at him with wide eyes. "Today is your birthday?" Tiffany asked, baffled, surprised that Naruto hadn't told them today was his birthday. "Why didn't you tell us, Foxy?" Lisa asked, slightly hurt. "Because my birthday isn't something really special to me over the years and thought it wasn't important for y'all to know," Naruto said with a shrug as he started to stretch. "Of course it's important. What didn't you tell us? He didn't get you a cake or anything?" Lisa said, jumping up and fishing for some new clothes to wear to go out shopping for Naruto's birthday. Because my parents died in a car crash on my birthday, 9th birthday, and I've always associated their deaths of me being the cause of their deaths. Naruto said, sadly, making all his lovers gasp in shock before they all gathered around him, even Kurama and Horo, who hugged him to know that they were there for him. It's okay, honey, though today's gonna be different. We're gonna celebrate your birthday and have fun whether you like it or not, and trust me, you'll like it. Janet said with a stuck smirk, making Lisa also smirk, catching on. Getting up, most of them with to the gigantic bathroom that Naruto had that could hold up to 6 people, while Tiffany stayed behind with a smirk on her face. Here's a small taste of what you'll get, baby. Tiffany said as she leaned down and took off Naruto's boxers, showing his morning wood to the world. She took a deep whiff, taking in his manly scent as she started to give Naruto a blwjb, as she started to drool and spit on it and giving it a double twist SCK down, making him groan in pure pleasure. As Tiffany was eating him off, he received a text. Picking it up, he saw it was from Sul. "Happy birthday, my love," she texted him. Smirking, Naruto texted back, "Thanks, babe. Can't wait to see you again," Naruto typed back as he received pics and videos of Sul in tight peach shorts twerking her fat peach off with a brand new tattoo on her left peach cheek saying Naruto's property. "Maybe this day won't be bad after all," Naruto chuckled before moaning as he pumped Tiffany mouth full of his baby batter as she greedily drank it down. 30 minutes later. After cleaning Tiffany and himself up in the shower, which led to another steamy session of SEC, he was finally downstairs in a white t-shirt and black shorts as he noticed everyone was gone, including Tiffany, which was strange since she was just behind him a moment ago. Shrugging, he decided to settle back and watch a couple of comedy movies to get a good couple of laughs. After a couple of hours, he was sitting back on his couch, wearing a tank top and some joggers. He received a call on his phone. Picking it up, he saw it was from Tiffany. "Hey Tiffany, what's wrong?" Naruto asked curiously. "Naruto, get to the strpclb quick. There are some guys harassing me, I'm scared," Tiffany said urgently, making Naruto jump up without a second thought. Before walking out, he grabbed his keys and his 9mm Luger that was stashed behind a picture before handing out. Sliding across the hood of his car, he jumped in and speeded towards the strpclb. Xanabobs. Getting out, he practically rushed past the bouncer and started to search for Tiffany. "Hey, where is Tankare?" Naruto asked one of the strippers using her strpr name. "Oh, she's in there," the strpr said with a giggle as she watched him rush off. He was in for a big surprise. Rushing into said room, he saw that Tiffany was nowhere to be found, confusing him. All of a sudden, over a dozen hands grabbed him at once, which forced him to a chair before his hands and legs were strapped down by HNDCFFS. Being taken by surprise, he looked up and saw that it was his many girlfriends, all of them with the exception of Scarlet and Suliwa, plus added additions of women that wore skimpy clothing, which meant they were also strippers, and another set of new women who were dressed in skimpy short cheerleading outfits that barely covered their peach and BRST. "Surprise, Foxy. This is your birthday present. I was able to round up all my cheerleading friends who wanted to join in on the fun," Lisa said with a giggle as she was also wearing a skimpy cheerleading outfit, but hers showed more skin. "I was also able to round up all my salty friends once they heard how big your PP was, they simply couldn't resist." Tiffany giggled as she wore a skimpy bikini that only covered her tips and the thong might as well been non-existent. "Y'all shouldn't have," Naruto chuckled before he could get another word in. Surprisingly, the usual timid Lindsay stepped up and started the org that was about to start. Safe to say Naruto had an amazing birthday for the first time in year, plus he did ruin quite a few women for other men. 2 weeks later. Well, it's been a few weeks since the dinner with Debbie, Steve's new girlfriend, and Naruto's birthday, and things have gone as how they usually have been as of late. Well, not entirely. Apparently Stan has been exercising constantly ever since he found out that he was fat. Yeah, big shocker there, people. And he hasn't been eating anything at all, to the point that he became anorexic. It was worrying the rest of the family, while creeping out Klaus out a lot, that each of them were trying to get Stan to get back to his normal weight. Like when Hailey and Francine had injected lard into Stan's veggies, which was all that he ate during these past weeks. It's not like they cared what Stan did with his body anymore, it was just creepy to see Stan with his big head with a bony body, they just didn't mix. As a result of Stan's anorexia, he was suspended from work until he got back to his proper weight, and the family had to send him to anorexic classes to help get things back to normal. Of course, when talking to the counselor, Steve took things the wrong way and thought that him dating Debbie was going to kill Stan, so he had to break up with her. Distraught over what happened, Stan decided to hook Steve up with his anorexic/bulimic buddy Olivia. As for Roger, he seemed overly excited for some reason and decided to go out one evening dressed up in an 18th century male attire, saying he had a hot date. Currently Naruto was at the Smith residence having dinner with Hailey and Francine since they had the house all to themselves, aside from Klaus, but he was currently asleep. The dinner was pretty nice of just the three of them, and the two Smith girls wished this could happen more often. "I'll take these out, honey," Francine said as she exited the house to put the wine bottles into the recycling bin. One of them fell out of the bag and rolled over to the tarp covering the swimming pool. She tried reaching to grab it but slipped through, causing her to end up in the middle of the tarp, hoping that the weights holding the tarp down would do their thing. Well, that didn't happen as the tarp slipped through the cement blocks, causing her to almost drown when getting free from the tarp. Once she got up to the surface, she wiped her eyes from the grime that got onto her. Wait, grime? The water is supposed to not have grime unless it didn't get cleaned as of late. Francine soon opened her eyes and saw the pool was full of food, and before she knew it, a rotten turkey and ham got too close to her and she started screaming. "What's happening, Mom?" Hailey yelled out as both she and Naruto ran outside and saw the pool full of rotten, disgusting food. "Oh God, it's going to be a beach cleaning all that up now." Naruto saw Francine's arm waving frantically from the pool and he grabbed a hold of her to pull her to the surface. Once she was out, she was twitching like crazy. "Well, no SHT, with you covered in rotten food in a dire moment, what else would you be doing?" He never cleaned his plate. He just moved the food. He just moved the food. Why? Why? Francine cried out as she hugged Hailey and Naruto for dear life. Both of the young lovers looked at each other with raised brows on her overreaction, but in all honesty they can let that slide since it was not a comforting experience for her. "Come on Francine, I think we should get you cleaned up," Naruto said as he led her to the shower in the MSTR bedroom, with Hailey following to make sure would be alright. Starting up the shower, he took hers and his clothes off and helped her in as Naruto started to massage her shoulders, calming her down with the hot water, relieving the tension in her body. "Naruto, please make me forget that bad experience," Francine begged, wanting to forget how she almost drowned in Stan's uneaten food. Nodding, Naruto leaned forward and captured her big lips in a passionate embrace as she moaned, making Naruto stick his tongue down her throat, making her eyes roll back as he throat F her. Grabbing a handful of her fat peach, he started to spank making her organism right then and there. Grabbing one of her perky tips, he began to pinch her NPL as he continued to force his tongue down her throat. Hailey wasn't being idle, she moved closer to her boyfriend as she also got in the shower and started to embrace his neck and nibble on his earlobe, making him groan in pleasure. Pulling out of Francine's mouth, he decided he wanted the main course now. Grabbing his now irked PP, he directed at her drenched PP before plunging it in, making her eyes roll at the back of her head in pleasure. "Oh Francine, you're so DMN tight," Naruto moaned as he continued to plunge into her with reckless abandon. Naruto was also giving Hailey her special needed attention by fingering her repeatedly in her tight snatch. "Oh Naruto, faster," Hailey panted as he worked wonders on her PP. Hailey downed as she started to make out with her own mother as if she was a beach in heat, as they both were left breathless at the amazing pleasure they were receiving. "Oh I'm about to leak." "Where do you want it, Francine?" Naruto hollered as he could feel his end. "Oh, on my face." She barely wheezed out over her own salty moaning. Pulling out, Naruto strokes his PP a couple more times before letting loose his torrent of juices all over Francine's face, BRST and stomach, a little bit splashing on Hailey too. Moaning, Francine and Hailey leaned up and started eating the juices off like it was the last thing to drink on the earth, making Naruto instantly strong again and ready for round 2. Leaning up, Hailey took Naruto's PP in her mouth and started to SCK and slurp on it like a lollipop as she was able to suppress her GG reflex. Though before the SEC could really begin, they heard the door downstairs opening and heard Stan's voice. "Francine? Where are you? I've come to apologize and beg for your forgiveness," Stan hollered, coming up the stairs, making Naruto curse before pecking both of them on the lips, more so Hailey to make it up to her. Hailey also left to her room quickly, being left in a sour mood from her dad's shitty timing and ruining her fun. Sighing, Naruto hopped in his car to go back home to his girls, smiling all the way. Despite all the drama with the Smiths family, more so Steve and Stan, he was glad he moved here. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for more crossovers. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Dragon from Heaven on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.